Hello friend, and welcome to Science for Sleep. Tonight, we're exploring quiet psychology facts about the holiday season and how this time of year subtly changes the way the nervous system processes the world. These changes are rarely dramatic. They unfold slowly, shaped by the environment rather than by intention, often below conscious awareness. One of the most consistent influences during the holiday season is the seasonal reduction of daylight. As the calendar moves deeper into winter, daylight shortens in small increments. Morning light arrives later. Evening light fades earlier. The boundary between day and night softens, stretching into longer transitions rather than sharp shifts. This gradual change forms the backdrop for many of the psychological experiences associated with the holiday season, even when they aren't actively noticed. From a scientific perspective, seasonal changes in daylight alter circadian signaling. The circadian system depends on light to regulate alertness, attention, and physiological readiness throughout the day. When daylight exposure decreases, especially in the late afternoon and early evening, the signals that support sustained alertness begin to ease earlier. Research also shows that reduced evening light input lowers overall sensory demand. With fewer bright, high-contrast signals entering the nervous system, the brain gradually reduces the level of alerting activity it maintains. This adjustment does not happen suddenly. It unfolds gradually, guided by environmental input rather than conscious decision-making. During the holiday season, this softening often begins before night fully arrives. Light dims earlier, shadows lengthen, reflections in window glass lose definition. Lamps provide localized illumination rather than broad daylight brightness, creating stable pockets of light instead of sharp contrast. Still furniture and long shadows remain unchanged as the surrounding light shifts, reinforcing visual predictability. These conditions reduce the amount of information the visual system needs to process. Edges soften, contrast decreases. The number of distinct visual cues declines. As a result, perceptual effort lowers, allowing sensory systems to conserve energy rather than remain highly vigilant. At the same time, circadian alerting signals begin to ease. These signals help maintain responsiveness when environmental input is strong and variable. When daylight shortens and transitions slow, the nervous system gradually adjusts its baseline state. Alertness becomes less emphasized. Stability takes precedence. If you enjoy these quiet explorations of psychology and science during the holiday season, you're welcome to support the channel by liking or subscribing, or by sharing a simple thought in the comments. It helps others find their way here as well. As evening continues, the environment remains steady. Window glass reflects dim light rather than bright scenes. Lamps cast consistent pools of illumination. Long shadows hold their shape. Nothing in the space demands immediate attention. This steadiness allows the nervous system to rely on expectation rather than constant monitoring. Predictability plays an important role here. When the environment behaves in familiar ways, the brain reduces the resources it dedicates to detecting change. This reduction lowers baseline alertness without creating discomfort. It is a quiet assurance that nothing urgent requires response. During the holiday season, these patterns repeat night after night. Familiarity replaces novelty. Sensory demand decreases further as the nervous system recognizes the environment as stable and low risk. Nothing in this process requires effort. These changes occur whether they are noticed or not. They are guided by light, timing, and biological regulation, rather than thought or intention. The gradual shortening of daylight, the earlier onset of darkness, and the slower transitions between day and night quietly shape how the nervous system settles during the holiday season. I'm glad you're here. As daylight continues to shorten, the signals that shape biological timing grow quieter. The circadian clock depends on light not just as illumination, but as information. Each exposure to daylight helps calibrate internal timing, reinforcing when alertness should rise and when it should soften. During the holiday season, these signals become weaker and more compressed. Morning light arrives later, offering a narrower window for strong timing input. Evening darkness settles earlier, extending the low light period that follows. Scientific research shows that shorter daylight reduces the strength of circadian time cues. When light exposure is limited or delayed, the internal clock receives less precise information about the structure of the day. This does not break the system. Instead, it loosens its precision. Timing becomes less sharply defined, and transitions between states unfold more gradually. The brain relies heavily on light exposure to maintain sleep-wake timing. Specialized cells in the retina respond to brightness and send signals directly to circadian centers in the brain. These signals help anchor biological rhythms to the external world. When daylight is brief, those anchoring signals arrive with less intensity and for a shorter duration. The result is not confusion, but softness. During the holiday season, this softening often appears as an expansion of the evening. Earlier darkness can shift perceived evening length, making time feel less segmented. Without strong light cues to mark the end of day, the boundary between afternoon and evening becomes less rigid. The nervous system responds by easing alerting signals rather than switching them off abruptly. As ambient light dims earlier, the sky darkens sooner, and indoor illumination becomes the primary source of visual input. Lamps provide limited brightness, enough for orientation, but not enough to recreate daytime intensity. This dimmer ambient light maintains visibility while reducing contrast, signaling that sustained vigilance is no longer necessary. Compressed daylight windows also influence how the nervous system distributes energy. When light is abundant, alertness can be maintained for longer stretches without strain. When light is scarce, alertness is still present, but it carries less urgency. The circadian system adjusts by spreading its signals more evenly across the darker hours, rather than peaking sharply. Earlier nightfall extends the duration of low stimulation conditions. Visual input becomes simpler. The number of competing signals decreases. This reduction allows timing systems to operate with fewer corrections. Instead of constantly recalibrating to changing brightness, the nervous system settles into a stable pattern of reduced demand. Research indicates that circadian timing remains flexible across seasons. The system is designed to adapt, not resist. Seasonal shifts in daylight have shaped biological rhythms for thousands of years, long before artificial lighting altered daily experience. The quieter timing of winter reflects an older pattern of adaptation, one that prioritizes conservation over intensity. As daylight weakens, the perception of time itself subtly shifts. Without strong, light-driven markers to separate segments of the day, moments feel less distinct. The evening stretches, not because more events occur, but because fewer signals interrupt its flow. This change does not require interpretation. It arises naturally from the environment. Throughout this process, the nervous system remains responsive, but less reactive. The reduction in light-based cues lowers the need for constant alignment with external schedules. Internal timing becomes more self-contained, guided by slower rhythms rather than sharp transitions. During the holiday season, these changes repeat daily. Each shorter day reinforces the pattern. The circadian clock receives consistent information. Daylight is brief, darkness is extended, and transitions are gradual. Over time, this consistency further reduces the need for vigilance. Nothing about this shift demands attention. It unfolds whether or not it is noticed. The weakening of daylight cues gently reshapes biological timing, allowing alertness to soften without disappearing. The system remains balanced, simply operating with less intensity. As the sky darkens earlier and ambient light remains dim, the circadian clock continues its work quietly. Timing becomes flexible. Signals become less forceful. The nervous system adapts, settling into a rhythm shaped by shorter days and longer nights. As exterior darkness settles earlier, interior light remains. During the holiday season, artificial illumination often extends well beyond sunset. Lamps glow steadily. Screens emit soft but persistent brightness. Reflected light lingers on walls and surfaces long after the sky outside has darkened. This contrast between exterior night and interior light introduces a distinct pattern of sensory input. From a biological standpoint, evening artificial light delays melatonin signaling. Melatonin is a hormone involved in signaling night to the body, and its timing is influenced by light exposure rather than by clocks or schedules. When illumination continues into the evening hours, especially at moderate brightness, melatonin release is postponed. This does not prevent its eventual rise. It simply shifts its timing, making the transition toward night more gradual. Prolonged light exposure also increases perceptual processing demands. Even low-level illumination requires the visual system to remain active. The brain continues to interpret shapes, contrasts, and movement within the lit environment. Under sustained illumination, perceptual systems do not disengage quickly. They remain ready, scanning and updating, even when the surrounding space is calm. The visual system is particularly sensitive to contrast. Lamps and screens create localized brightness against darker backgrounds, increasing contrast late in the day. This contrast draws perceptual resources toward illuminated areas, subtly maintaining cortical activity. The effect is not stimulating in the dramatic sense, but it does preserve a baseline level of processing. Scientific studies have shown that the visual cortex remains more active under sustained illumination, even when the environment is otherwise quiet. Light alone is enough to maintain visual readiness. During the holiday season, when evenings are long and darkness arrives early, this readiness can persist for extended periods. Interior lighting changes the structure of evening perception. Without daylight to fill a space evenly, artificial light defines smaller zones of visibility. Lamps create islands of illumination surrounded by shadow. Screens introduce shifting light patterns that hold attention briefly before releasing it again. These conditions require the visual system to adjust repeatedly, maintaining perceptual engagement rather than settling into uniform darkness. At the same time, the absence of daylight reduces competing signals. Exterior darkness removes large-scale visual variation, leaving interior light as the primary source of input. This narrowing of the visual field simplifies some aspects of perception while sustaining others. The brain processes fewer wide-ranging cues, but continues to respond to localized brightness. This balance creates a distinct sensory state. Perceptual load remains present, but it is constrained. The nervous system does not need to interpret expansive visual environments, yet it continues to manage focused areas of illumination. Processing becomes steady rather than intense, continuous rather than fluctuating. Melatonin signaling responds to this environment accordingly. Delayed signaling reflects the persistence of light-based input, not a disruption of biological function. The system remains responsive, adjusting its timing to match available cues. As long as light is present, even at low levels, the signal for night is softened rather than fully expressed. During the holiday season, this pattern repeats across evenings. Artificial light consistently extends the perceptual day, even as exterior conditions indicate night. Over time, the nervous system adapts to this rhythm. The contrast between outside darkness and inside illumination becomes familiar, reducing uncertainty and lowering the need for heightened monitoring. Reflected light on walls and surfaces contributes to this effect. Rather than sharp beams, light disperses gently, creating diffuse brightness. This diffusion reduces harsh contrast while still maintaining visibility. The visual system continues to operate, but without the sharp edges and rapid changes associated with daytime environments. As illumination persists, perceptual systems remain engaged, but in a quieter mode. Activity does not escalate, it stabilizes. The brain processes what is present without searching for what is absent. This steady engagement supports a smooth, extended transition between day and night. Nothing in this process requires adjustment or effort. The interaction between artificial light and perceptual load unfolds automatically. The nervous system responds to illumination as it always has, maintaining readiness when light is present and easing when it fades. During these extended evenings, light remains the dominant cue. Melatonin signaling waits. Visual processing continues. The environment holds its shape through illumination rather than daylight. This persistence of sensory input defines the character of winter evenings during the holiday season. As lamps glow and screens cast faint light, perceptual systems stay quietly active. Exterior night deepens, interior light endures. The nervous system balances both, maintaining stability while awaiting the gradual reduction of sensory input that follows later. The result is not tension, but continuity. A sustained, low-level perceptual state shaped by artificial evening light, unfolding calmly across the long holiday nights. As the holiday season unfolds, daily timing becomes less rigid. Routines that normally repeat with precision often shift during this period. Activities occur earlier or later than usual. Familiar sequences loosen. The day still moves forward, but its internal markers grow less exact. This variability changes how time is processed, not by adding confusion, but by softening prediction. Regular routines act as temporal anchors for the brain. Repeated patterns help internal timing systems anticipate what comes next. When events occur at consistent intervals, the brain learns their rhythm and uses it to structure perception. Time becomes segmented into predictable units, each reinforcing the next. When routines vary, those anchors weaken. Internal time prediction systems rely on repetition to maintain accuracy. Without consistent cues, prediction becomes broader. The brain no longer expects precise transitions. Instead, it allows for flexibility, widening the window within which events are anticipated. Scientific research shows that the brain tracks time through repeated patterns rather than through clocks alone. While external timekeeping devices measure hours and minutes, internal timing depends on experience. Repetition builds expectation. Variability relaxes it. During the holiday season, this relaxation becomes more common as schedules shift. In the environment, clocks continue to mark time with steady motion. Their faces remain unchanged. Hands move predictably. Yet the relationship between those markers and lived experience loosens. Light angles change earlier in the day. Shadows shift at different times. Still, objects remain fixed while the cues surrounding them grow less consistent. This contrast highlights the difference between external measurement and internal prediction. The nervous system does not resist variability. Instead, it adapts by reducing precision. Timing becomes approximate rather than exact. This adjustment lowers the need for constant alignment with a strict schedule. Variability weakens internal time prediction, but it does not disrupt function. The brain simply shifts its strategy. Rather than preparing for narrowly defined moments, it prepares for ranges. This broader expectation reduces the frequency of prediction errors, conserving cognitive resources. As routines fluctuate, internal expectations of timing soften. The nervous system no longer signals urgency at specific moments. Anticipation spreads out, becoming less pointed. This reduces pressure on attention systems, which no longer need to monitor closely for precise transitions. Throughout the holiday season, this pattern repeats. Days differ slightly from one another. Evenings lengthen or compress. Familiar markers appear at new times. Each variation reinforces flexibility, teaching timing systems that precision is less necessary in this context. Importantly, this process carries no judgment. Variability is not interpreted as disorder. It is simply information. The nervous system responds by adjusting its predictions, maintaining stability by loosening rather than tightening control. Changing light angles contribute to this effect. As daylight shortens, the position of light shifts earlier across the same surfaces. Shadows appear and fade at new moments. These changes alter visual timing cues without altering the environment itself. Objects remain still. Time cues move around them. This separation between stable objects and shifting temporal signals further reduces urgency. When the environment remains physically unchanged while timing cues vary, the brain learns that exact alignment is unnecessary. Prediction becomes gentler. Over time, reduced reliance on rigid temporal anchors allows internal systems to operate with less strain. The nervous system no longer attempts to synchronize tightly with every moment. Instead, it allows timing to unfold within broader margins. During the holiday season, this widening of temporal expectation contributes to a sense of softness. Time feels less segmented. Moments flow together. This experience arises from changes in routine and repetition, not from emotional interpretation. The brain continues to track time. It simply does so with lower resolution. Repeated variability reinforces this state, allowing internal timing systems to relax their precision. As clocks continue their steady movement and light shifts across familiar surfaces, internal time prediction systems remain adaptable. Precision fades slightly. Flexibility increases. The nervous system settles into a rhythm defined less by exact moments and more by gradual transition. This gentle loosening of temporal anchors shapes how the holiday season is experienced, quietly and without demand. Timing becomes softer, expectation broadens, and internal systems adjust accordingly, maintaining balance as routines vary and time flows on. As daily timing shifts during the holiday season, Internal clocks receive information from more than light alone. One of the most consistent internal signals comes from digestion. The timing of meals provides the body with regular cues about when energy intake occurs, and these cues interact closely with circadian rhythms. Even in the absence of strong daylight signals, digestive activity continues to inform internal timing systems. Scientific research has shown that meal timing influences circadian rhythms. The digestive system communicates with biological clocks through hormonal release, metabolic activity, and changes in energy availability. These signals help the body anticipate periods of activity and rest, reinforcing temporal structure from the inside. When eating times are regular, these signals arrive with predictable spacing. Internal clocks learn the pattern and use it to refine timing. When eating times vary, that precision softens. Irregular eating times introduce biological timing noise, slightly reducing the clarity of internal signals without disrupting their function. During the holiday season, meal timing often shifts. Meals may occur later than usual, earlier on some days, or at inconsistent intervals. From a biological perspective, this variability widens the timing window rather than breaking it. Digestive signals still arrive, but they do so with less exact repetition. Digestive processes signal internal clocks through a sequence of physiological events. Hormones related to metabolism rise and fall. Blood glucose levels change. Energy processing begins and completes. Each of these steps carries timing information that the body uses to align internal rhythms. When these signals vary from day to day, internal clocks respond by lowering precision. Instead of expecting digestion at a narrow time point, the system prepares for a broader range. This adjustment reduces prediction error and conserves cognitive and physiological resources. The visual environment often mirrors this shift. In the evening, dim kitchen light replaces daytime brightness. Empty dishes remain on still surfaces. Movement slows once eating has finished. These external cues reinforce the internal message that active processing is complete and no immediate demand remains. Irregular timing does not create urgency within the system. Instead, it encourages flexibility. Biological rhythms are designed to tolerate variation. Seasonal changes, food availability, and environmental conditions have always influenced when eating occurs. The nervous system responds by adapting its expectations rather than resisting change. Research also indicates that internal clocks integrate multiple signals simultaneously. Light, activity, and digestion all contribute. When one signal becomes less precise, others compensate. During winter, when daylight is reduced and routines soften, digestive timing becomes one of several moderate cues rather than a dominant anchor. This balance prevents overload. No single signal needs to carry the full weight of timing regulation. Instead, the system operates using averages and ranges, maintaining stability through redundancy. As digestion completes later in the evening, metabolic activity gradually slows. Energy processing shifts from intake to utilization and storage. These changes send additional timing information inward, signaling that active demand is decreasing. The process unfolds automatically, without requiring conscious monitoring. The absence of strong, repetitive cues reduces the need for strict alignment. Internal clocks operate comfortably within wider margins. Timing becomes approximate rather than exact, lowering the need for vigilance. Throughout the holiday season, this pattern repeats. Each day introduces slight variation. Internal clocks respond by smoothing transitions rather than sharpening them. The system remains balanced, guided by gentle signals rather than strict schedules. Empty dishes, dim light, and quiet surfaces provide visual confirmation of this shift. The environment holds still, while internal processes continue at a slower pace. Nothing demands immediate response. Importantly, this variability carries no evaluation. The nervous system does not interpret irregular timing as error. It simply registers the pattern and adjusts its predictions accordingly. Flexibility becomes the organizing principle. Digestive timing continues to interact with circadian rhythms, providing steady but softened information. Internal clocks remain active but less insistent. Signals arrive, are integrated, and pass on without urgency. As routine variability extends into physiological timing, the body settles into a rhythm shaped by range rather than precision. Meal timing, like daylight and activity, becomes part of a broader seasonal pattern. Internal clocks adapt quietly. Digestive signals rise and fall. Biological timing remains intact, operating with gentler boundaries as the holiday season continues, steady and unforced. As the day moves toward evening, sensory input does not disappear all at once. Throughout daylight hours, the nervous system receives a continuous stream of information. Visual signals shift with changing light. Sounds layer and overlap. Subtle movements, temperature changes, and environmental variation accumulate gradually. By the time evening arrives, sensory systems have been active for many hours, maintaining readiness through constant monitoring. Scientific research shows that high sensory input elevates vigilance. When the environment delivers frequent or varied signals, perceptual systems remain alert, scanning for relevance and change. This vigilance is not a conscious state. It is an automatic adjustment that keeps the nervous system responsive, while input remains dense. As daylight fades during the holiday season, sensory input begins to thin. Sounds soften. Visual contrast decreases. Movement slows. Yet this change is gradual rather than abrupt. Sensory systems do not switch off instantly when stimulation decreases. Instead, they downshift in stages, recalibrating as input steadily declines. Studies indicate that sensory systems reduce activity progressively. Neural responsiveness tapers as signals become fewer and more predictable. This gradual process protects stability, preventing sudden drops in awareness that could be disorienting. The nervous system prefers smooth transitions over sharp ones. Muted sounds contribute to this shift. As exterior activity diminishes, the soundscape becomes more uniform. Background noise levels fall. Variability decreases. The auditory system responds by lowering its monitoring threshold, reducing the need to track subtle changes. Visual input follows a similar pattern. Reduced movement and dimmer light simplify the visual field. Fewer objects compete for attention. Edges blur slightly. Contrast softens. These changes lower perceptual demand, allowing visual systems to conserve energy while maintaining orientation. Still air reinforces the effect. When airflow and temperature remain steady, tactile and thermal receptors receive fewer updates. Without frequent changes to register, these systems reduce their signaling frequency. The absence of movement becomes information in itself, signaling environmental stability. Quiet environments allow perceptual recalibration. As sensory input decreases, the nervous system adjusts its internal gain, lowering sensitivity to match the new conditions. This recalibration does not eliminate perception. It refines it. aligning responsiveness with the level of stimulation present. During the holiday season, this downshifting often unfolds over longer evenings. Darkness arrives earlier, but interior conditions remain calm rather than abrupt. Sensory layers peel away one by one, rather than all at once. Each reduction reinforces the message that immediate responsiveness is less necessary. Importantly, the accumulation of sensory input across the day influences how long this recalibration takes. After many hours of stimulation, sensory systems do not disengage instantly. They require time to release vigilance. The nervous system moves step by step, easing from active monitoring toward quiet readiness. This process carries no evaluation. High sensory input is not treated as strain, and low sensory input is not treated as relief. Both are simply states. The nervous system adapts to each based on current conditions, adjusting without judgment. As movement slows in the environment, stillness becomes more prominent. Objects remain in place. Air remains quiet. Sound patterns stabilize. These consistent signals reduce uncertainty, allowing perceptual systems to settle further. Research also shows that predictability plays a key role in downshifting. When sensory input decreases in a consistent way, recalibration accelerates. The nervous system learns that the environment is unlikely to change suddenly, reducing the need for rapid response. Throughout the evening, sensory density continues to decline. Each minute brings fewer signals than the last. The nervous system tracks this change automatically, adjusting thresholds and reducing baseline activity without conscious involvement. The space itself does not change dramatically. What changes is the volume of information moving through it. With fewer signals to process, perceptual systems operate more efficiently, maintaining awareness with less effort. This early settling does not signal an endpoint. It marks a transition. Sensory systems remain capable, but they are no longer driven by dense input. The balance shifts from monitoring to maintaining. Muted sounds, still air, and reduced movement create conditions that support this recalibration. The environment communicates stability through absence rather than presence. The nervous system responds accordingly, lowering vigilance while preserving orientation. As the holiday evening continues, sensory input thins further. Each reduction reinforces the same message. Less needs to be tracked, less needs to be processed. The nervous system follows, easing its activity in small, steady steps. Nothing is concluded here. The process remains open, ongoing, and reversible. Sensory systems remain responsive, simply operating at a quieter baseline as input continues to fall and the environment settles into sustained stillness. As sensory input thins, attention systems continue to process what remains. Attention is not sustained evenly across the day. It responds to change, difference, and unpredictability. Each time the environment presents something new, attention systems engage more actively, allocating resources to evaluate what has shifted and whether it matters. This process occurs automatically, without conscious direction. Scientific research shows that novelty increases cognitive load. When patterns are unfamiliar or unstable, the brain invests more energy into prediction and monitoring. Attention becomes sharper, more focused, and more effortful. This heightened state is useful during periods of learning or adaptation, but it carries a cost when novelty persists. During the holiday season, attention systems are often exposed to repeated novelty across the day. Schedules vary, visual environments change, timing cues shift. Each variation requires a small adjustment, and each adjustment draws from the same attentional resources. Individually, these demands are minor. Collectively, they accumulate. Attention fatigue builds through unpredictability. The brain is efficient, but it is not limitless. When predictive models must be updated repeatedly, attention systems gradually exhaust their capacity to respond with precision. This exhaustion does not appear suddenly. It develops quietly, as resources are used and not immediately replenished. As novelty exposure decreases in the evening, attention systems begin to ease. Familiar environments require less attention. When objects remain unchanged and patterns stabilize, the brain no longer needs to evaluate continuously. Predictive models can be reused rather than rebuilt. Unchanged objects reinforce this stability. Furniture remains in place. Surfaces look the same as they did earlier. Dim corners hold their shape. Consistent shadows fall across familiar outlines. These unchanging features signal that the environment is predictable and low risk. With fewer novel inputs, cognitive demand drops. Attention systems shift from active monitoring to maintenance. Rather than scanning for change, they confirm sameness. This transition reduces effort without eliminating awareness. Research indicates that attention fatigue accumulates across periods of high variability. When novelty decreases, recovery begins. The nervous system reallocates resources, lowering the intensity of attentional engagement. This recovery does not require rest in the traditional sense. It occurs naturally when demands diminish. The easing of attention does not reflect disengagement. The brain remains responsive, but its threshold for activation rises slightly. Only significant changes prompt renewed focus. Minor fluctuations pass without triggering heightened response. This process unfolds gradually. Attention does not collapse or switch off. It loosens its grip, releasing unnecessary vigilance while preserving orientation. The transition is smooth, guided by the absence of new information, rather than by any directive. As novelty subsides, internal prediction becomes easier. The environment behaves as expected. Shadows remain steady. Light levels change slowly. Movement is minimal. These conditions allow predictive capacity to operate efficiently, reducing the need for constant correction. Attention systems respond to this stability by conserving energy. Neural activity associated with alert monitoring decreases. Processing becomes quieter, more economical. The brain uses just enough attention to maintain awareness, no more. Importantly, this quieting carries no emotional charge. Attention fatigue is not interpreted as strain or failure. It is simply the result of sustained engagement with variability. When variability declines, recovery follows naturally. During the holiday season, this cycle repeats daily. Periods of change are followed by periods of sameness. Each evening offers an opportunity for attention systems to recalibrate as novelty fades and familiarity takes over. Consistent shadows and dim corners support this recalibration. They remain unchanged even as light softens. Their predictability reassures the nervous system that the environment is stable. As attention demand decreases, cognitive quiet emerges. Thoughts slow not because they are suppressed, but because fewer updates are required. The brain no longer needs to prepare for change. It maintains readiness at a lower intensity. This reduction in attentional effort prepares internal systems for deeper settling. Sensory input is lower. Novelty has diminished. Predictive models hold steady without strain. Nothing needs to be resolved. attention systems simply follow the conditions presented. As unpredictability gives way to consistency, cognitive load lightens. Awareness remains steady and unforced, operating comfortably within a familiar and predictable environment as the evening continues. As evening quiet deepens, the nervous system begins a subtle transition. Throughout the day, vigilance is maintained through continuous alerting signals. Sensory input, novelty, and variability all contribute to keeping regulatory systems oriented toward responsiveness. As these demands lessen, the balance within the nervous system gradually shifts. This shift does not occur at a single moment. It unfolds in stages, guided by changes in stimulation rather than by conscious intent. Scientific research shows that reduced stimulation supports parasympathetic activity. The parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system is associated with conservation, regulation, and internal balance. When sensory input decreases and vigilance is no longer required, this system becomes more influential, gently counterbalancing the alerting signals that dominated earlier. Lower vigilance allows regulatory systems to engage more fully. Heart rate variability increases. Breathing patterns become less reactive. Muscle tone softens slightly. These changes are small and often unnoticed, but they reflect a broader reorganization within the nervous system towards stability rather than readiness. Evening quiet initiates biological settling through consistency rather than absence. Darkness outside the windows remains steady. Interior lighting stays soft and localized. Shadows hold their shape. Nothing in the environment demands rapid interpretation. This stability reduces the need for ongoing monitoring, allowing regulatory processes to operate with fewer interruptions. The transition toward parasympathetic dominance does not suppress awareness. Instead, it changes the quality of attention. Signals are still received, but they are weighted differently. The nervous system prioritizes internal regulation over external scanning, shifting resources inward without withdrawing entirely. Physiological rhythms reflect this adjustment. Heartbeat patterns become more regular. Neural signaling associated with alertness decreases in frequency. The body moves toward coherence, aligning systems that were previously operating independently under higher demand. Reduced alerting signals contribute to this process. During periods of high stimulation, alerting neurotransmitters maintain readiness. As stimulation falls, the release of these chemicals decreases. This reduction allows other regulatory signals to become more prominent, supporting balance rather than action. Dark windows reinforce the message of external quiet. Without visible movement or light beyond the glass, the environment signals that conditions are stable. The absence of exterior variation lowers the likelihood of unexpected change, reducing the need for vigilance. Inside, soft lamp glow provides enough illumination for orientation without recreating daytime brightness. Light remains present but subdued. This balance supports perceptual ease while avoiding sharp contrasts that would sustain alerting responses. Stable shadows further contribute to predictability. When shapes remain consistent and movement is minimal, the nervous system interprets the environment as low risk. Predictive systems relax, allowing regulatory processes to proceed uninterrupted. This early downshift does not complete the transition. It marks the beginning of a longer process. The nervous system adjusts incrementally, responding to sustained quiet rather than to sudden change. Each minute of reduced stimulation reinforces the same pattern, strengthening parasympathetic influence. Importantly, This transition carries no finality. It does not signal an endpoint or require resolution. The system remains flexible, capable of responding if conditions change. The shift reflects readiness for regulation, not disengagement. As evening continues, biological settling deepens through repetition. Quiet persists. Alerting signals remain low. Regulatory systems maintain coherence. The nervous system operates comfortably within this state, conserving energy while preserving awareness. The environment supports this balance through steadiness rather than instruction. Dark windows remain unchanged. Lamps continue to glow softly. Shadows stay in place. These conditions allow the nervous system to maintain its new orientation without effort. Nothing needs to be concluded here. The transition remains open, ongoing, and adaptive. Reduced stimulation continues to support parasympathetic activity, and regulatory systems remain engaged, guiding the nervous system toward deeper coherence as the evening unfolds. Sound often remains present even when the environment appears still. Unlike light, sound does not depend on direct visibility. It travels through space, bends around surfaces, and persists at low levels without drawing attention. Because of this, auditory processing systems evolved to remain active under a wide range of conditions, maintaining awareness even when stimulation is minimal. Scientific research shows that continuous background noise elevates baseline alertness. When sound is present, even at low intensity, the auditory system sustains a gentle state of vigilance. This vigilance does not feel effortful. It operates quietly, maintaining readiness while sound continues. During the holiday season, evenings often contain layers of background sound that blend into the environment. A distant hum settles into the air. Soft echoes linger in quiet spaces. Subtle mechanical or environmental noises remain steady without demanding focus. Individually, these sounds are neutral. Together, they form a persistent auditory field. Auditory systems adapt slowly to reduced input. Compared to visual systems, hearing maintains sensitivity longer as stimulation decreases. This gradual adaptation protects awareness, ensuring that important signals are not missed. At the same time, it means that auditory vigilance remains active after other sensory systems have already begun to downshift. When sound levels decline consistently, the nervous system looks for stability rather than silence. Sustained low variance input allows auditory thresholds to recalibrate. Vigilance eases not because sound disappears, but because it no longer carries uncertainty. Quiet environments reduce auditory vigilance most effectively when sound patterns remain predictable. A distant hum that does not change loses its significance. Neural responses diminish over time as the brain stops evaluating the sound as a potential signal. The sound remains audible, but it no longer requires attention. Softened echoes contribute to this process. As spaces grow quieter, echoes lose definition. Their edges blur. Without sharp onset or decay, they fade into the background, signaling environmental stability rather than change. Still air reinforces auditory settling. When airflow and ambient noise remain steady, fewer updates are required. The absence of fluctuation becomes meaningful information, allowing perceptual systems to lower their monitoring intensity. Research indicates that auditory vigilance decreases gradually under conditions of predictability. The nervous system reduces effort in stages, conserving resources while maintaining awareness. This tapering process unfolds smoothly, guided by sustained consistency rather than abrupt quiet. Auditory perception remains intact throughout this shift. Sound continues to register. What changes is the baseline level of alertness associated with hearing. The system stays capable of response without maintaining unnecessary readiness. As evening deepens, auditory load continues to narrow. Some sounds fall away entirely, others persist, but become less prominent. The brain treats them as background rather than as events, reducing the need for evaluation. This narrowing supports perceptual efficiency. With fewer sounds to assess, auditory processing becomes more economical. Neural activity associated with vigilance decreases, allowing regulatory systems to operate with less interference. Over repeated evenings, familiarity strengthens this response. The auditory system learns that low-variance sound patterns are stable. Each repetition reduces the likelihood of heightened alertness, reinforcing the settling process. Soft echoes, distant hums, and quiet air remain present without change. Their consistency allows auditory vigilance to ease further, aligning hearing with the already softened visual environment. Nothing needs to be noticed for this to occur. Auditory settling unfolds automatically, shaped by input rather than intention. The nervous system listens, registers stability, and adjusts. As background noise continues at a low, predictable level, auditory load decreases accordingly. Vigilance eases. Perception narrows to what is present without searching for what is absent. The environment holds steady. Sound remains gentle and consistent. Auditory systems remain active but relaxed, operating comfortably within a quieter sensory field as the evening continues and perceptual demands recede. Visual input places its own demands on the nervous system. Every visible scene requires interpretation. Shapes must be identified. Edges must be distinguished. Contrast must be resolved. Even when nothing appears to be happening, the visual system continuously processes what is present, maintaining a representation of the environment that supports orientation and awareness. Scientific research shows that visual complexity increases cortical processing demand. Scenes containing many distinct elements, sharp contrasts, or irregular patterns require more neural resources to interpret. The visual cortex becomes more active as it resolves detail, separates foreground from background, and updates spatial relationships. During the day, this level of processing is sustained without difficulty. Light is abundant. Contrast is high. Movement is frequent. The nervous system maintains visual readiness because it is continually reinforced by incoming information. As evening arrives, however, the character of visual input begins to change. Reduced visual input lowers cognitive effort. When light softens and contrast decreases, fewer details compete for attention. The brain no longer needs to process fine distinctions at the same rate. Cortical activity associated with visual interpretation begins to taper, not abruptly, but in proportion to the simplification of the scene. During the holiday season, this simplification often unfolds gradually. Exterior darkness removes large-scale visual variation. Indoors, lighting becomes more localized and stable. Rather than evenly illuminating every surface, lamps create limited zones of visibility, leaving surrounding areas in gentle shadow. Simpler scenes require fewer attentional resources. Plain walls present fewer edges and patterns. Reduced contrast lowers the effort needed to distinguish objects from their surroundings. Stable lighting prevents frequent updates, allowing the visual system to maintain a steady representation without constant revision. the absence of rapid visual change is particularly important. Movement draws attention automatically. When movement decreases, visual monitoring becomes less intensive. The brain confirms that the scene remains the same, then allocates fewer resources to tracking it. This process does not eliminate perception. Visual systems remain active, preserving spatial awareness and orientation. What changes is the intensity of processing. With fewer details to resolve, the visual cortex operates more efficiently, using less energy to maintain the same level of awareness. Research indicates that the brain prioritizes efficiency under low-demand conditions. When visual input simplifies, neural activity associated with detailed analysis decreases. This reduction supports cognitive ease, allowing higher-level systems to operate without competing for resources. Plain surfaces reinforce this effect. Walls without intricate patterns provide stable visual reference points. Their uniformity reduces the need for continuous evaluation. Once registered, they require little additional processing. Reduced contrast further contributes to this easing. High contrast boundaries demand precise interpretation. When contrast softens, boundaries become less salient. The brain no longer needs to sharpen distinctions constantly, lowering processing demand. Stable lighting completes the transition. Flickering or shifting light requires frequent recalibration. Consistent illumination allows visual systems to settle, maintaining clarity without effort. Shadows remain in place. Brightness levels stay constant. Nothing in the scene signals urgency. This visual steadiness aligns with the auditory quiet that often develops earlier in the evening. As sound becomes predictable, sight follows. Together, they reduce overall sensory demand, allowing cognitive systems to operate with fewer interruptions. The reduction in visual complexity also affects prediction. When scenes remain unchanged, the brain's expectations are consistently met. Prediction error decreases. Fewer corrections are required. This stability supports cognitive efficiency, conserving resources that would otherwise be spent updating internal models. Importantly, this easing carries no aesthetic evaluation. Simpler scenes are not preferred or avoided. They are simply processed differently. The nervous system responds to their properties automatically, adjusting activity based on demand rather than interpretation. Over the course of the evening, these effects accumulate. Each minute of stable, low-complexity visual input reinforces the same message. The environment is predictable and low risk. The brain responds by reducing the intensity of visual processing further. This adjustment unfolds quietly. There is no signal announcing the shift. Cognitive effort decreases because less is required, not because effort is withdrawn intentionally. The system adapts to what is present. As plain walls, reduced contrast, and stable lighting persist, visual systems remain engaged but unburdened. Awareness continues without strain. Processing becomes lighter, more economical, aligned with the reduced demands of the environment. This cognitive easing prepares the nervous system for deeper regulation without concluding anything. Visual input has not disappeared. It has simplified. The brain responds accordingly, maintaining orientation while conserving energy. Nothing needs to change for this process to continue. The environment holds steady. Visual scenes remain simple. Cortical demand stays low. Cognitive effort eases naturally, guided by the absence of complexity rather than by any directive. The visual system continues to register the world as it is, operating calmly within a simplified field. Processing remains precise enough to support awareness, yet relaxed enough to allow internal systems to settle further as the evening progresses. Attention does not always move in a straight line. Across periods of high sensory input, attention often divides itself. Visual signals, sounds, timing changes, and small variations all compete for processing. The nervous system responds by distributing attention across multiple streams, monitoring several sources at once. This fragmentation allows for responsiveness, but it also increases demand. Scientific research shows that fragmented attention increases mental fatigue. When attention is split repeatedly, cognitive resources are used less efficiently. Each shift requires adjustment. Each update draws from the same limited pool of processing capacity. Over time, this accumulation leads to a gradual depletion of attentional energy. During the day, this fragmentation is sustained by necessity. Environments change, signals overlap, attention adapts continuously, switching between inputs to maintain awareness. This state is functional, but it is also effortful. The brain remains active, managing multiple streams rather than settling into a single, stable focus. As the environment quiets, the conditions that sustain fragmentation begin to fade. Competing signals diminish. Fewer changes require monitoring. Attention systems are no longer pulled in multiple directions at once. Instead of distributing resources broadly, the nervous system can begin to consolidate them. Sustained focus recovers most readily in low stimulation environments. When sensory input narrows, attention no longer needs to divide. The brain can maintain awareness through fewer active channels, reducing the need for constant switching. This consolidation supports recovery by lowering processing cost. Unchanging objects contribute to this shift. When the environment remains visually stable, attention systems receive consistent confirmation that nothing new requires evaluation. Steady shadows reinforce this stability, signaling that the scene is predictable and low in variance. These conditions allow attentional flow to become smoother and more continuous. Research also indicates that attention systems recalibrate during quiet periods. Neural networks associated with attention adjust their sensitivity based on demand. When fragmentation is no longer required, these networks reduce their responsiveness to minor fluctuations, preserving resources for more significant input if it appears. This recalibration does not eliminate attentiveness. Awareness remains intact. What changes is the distribution of effort. Instead of cycling rapidly between signals, attention settles into a unified stream, maintaining orientation with less energy. Fragmentation resolves gradually. Attention does not snap back into coherence. It eases toward it. Each moment of reduced demand allows attentional systems to release unnecessary divisions, reinforcing continuity over dispersion. The environment supports this recovery through consistency. When objects remain in place and light levels hold steady, attention can rest on what is already known. Predictive models remain accurate without adjustment. The brain no longer needs to prepare for frequent updates. Mental fatigue decreases as fragmentation subsides. With fewer shifts required, cognitive load lightens. Processing becomes more economical. Neural activity associated with switching diminishes, allowing sustained focus to re-emerge naturally. Importantly, this process carries no sense of effort or intention. Attention systems recover because conditions permit it, not because recovery is pursued. The nervous system responds to what is present. reallocating resources in response to reduced demand. As attentional flow steadies, internal experience becomes less segmented. Thoughts follow one another more smoothly. Interruptions become less frequent. This continuity reflects a change in processing style rather than a change in content. The recovery of attentional continuity also supports broader regulation. With fewer resources consumed by monitoring, more capacity becomes available for internal coordination. Systems align more easily when attention is no longer divided. Steady shadows and unchanging forms continue to signal stability. They require no interpretation beyond initial recognition. Attention rests on them lightly, maintaining awareness without active scrutiny. Over repeated evenings, this pattern becomes familiar. Attention systems learn that quiet periods are low risk and low demand. Each repetition strengthens the tendency toward unified focus, reducing the likelihood of fragmentation returning without cause. This recovery does not conclude anything. It establishes a new balance. Attention remains flexible, capable of dividing again if needed. For now, it operates in a consolidated state, matching the simplicity of the environment. The transition from fragmentation to continuity unfolds silently. No signal marks its completion. Attention simply follows the narrowing of input, settling into steadier flow as competing demands fall away. In this quieter state, attentional systems maintain presence without strain. Awareness continues, unified rather than scattered, supported by an environment that asks little and offers consistency in return. Nothing needs to change for this to persist. As long as stimulation remains low and predictable, attentional continuity holds. Fragmentation stays resolved, and attention rests comfortably within a single, sustained stream, prepared to adjust but not compelled to divide as the evening continues. Novelty places a specific kind of demand on the nervous system. Each unfamiliar element in the environment requires prediction. The brain must estimate what the stimulus is, how it might change, and whether it matters. This predictive work happens continuously, often without awareness, and it increases as novelty density rises. When many new or changing inputs appear close together, predictive systems remain highly engaged. Scientific research shows that novel stimuli require increased predictive processing. Unfamiliar patterns generate more prediction error, which the brain works to reduce by updating its internal models. This process consumes cognitive resources, keeping neural systems active as long as uncertainty remains. During periods of high novelty density, this work accumulates. Multiple new inputs, even small ones, keep predictive systems occupied. Attention stays alert. Internal models update frequently. The nervous system remains oriented toward change rather than stability. As novelty declines, this demand begins to ease. Familiar environments reduce cognitive demand because fewer updates are required. When inputs repeat, the brain no longer needs to generate new predictions. Existing models remain accurate, allowing processing to become more efficient. Repetition plays a central role in this shift. Scientific evidence shows that repetition supports neural efficiency. When the same patterns appear again and again, neural responses become more economical. Activity decreases without sacrificing accuracy. The brain learns what to expect and stops investing extra effort into confirmation. In the environment, this transition often appears as sameness. Layouts remain unchanged. Objects stay in place. Visual and auditory cues repeat without variation. Each repetition reinforces predictability, signaling that no new interpretation is necessary. Rapidly changing inputs slow into stable patterns. The number of prediction errors drops. The nervous system responds by lowering the intensity of predictive processing. This reduction does not remove awareness. It refines it, allowing perception to operate with less effort. Predictive systems are designed to seek efficiency. When uncertainty is low, they conserve resources. Repetition provides exactly this condition. By confirming expectations again and again, the environment allows neural systems to shift from active updating to maintenance. This process unfolds gradually. Predictive effort does not disappear instantly when novelty decreases. Instead, it tapers as consistency persists. Each moment of sameness reinforces the accuracy of internal models, reducing the need for correction. Stable layouts contribute strongly to this effect. When spatial relationships remain fixed, the brain no longer needs to track changes. Orientation becomes automatic. Awareness rests on what is already known rather than scanning for difference. As prediction errors decrease, cognitive load lightens. Fewer resources are spent resolving uncertainty. Neural activity associated with surprise and adjustment declines. Processing becomes quieter and more streamlined. Importantly, this easing carries no emotional interpretation. Familiarity is not evaluated as positive or negative. It is simply processed differently. The nervous system responds to repetition by reducing effort, not by assigning value. Over time, reduced novelty density allows predictive systems to operate in a low-energy mode. Expectations are met consistently. Internal models remain stable. The brain maintains readiness without maintaining tension. This efficiency supports the recovery of attentional systems described earlier. With fewer predictive demands, attention remains unified more easily. Fragmentation is less likely when the environment behaves as expected. Repetition also supports temporal stability. When the same patterns appear across successive moments, time feels less segmented. Events blend smoothly, further reducing the need for predictive adjustment. The environment communicates this stability through sameness. Objects remain unchanged. Visual scenes hold their structure. Auditory patterns repeat without variation. Each element reinforces the same message. Nothing new needs to be anticipated. Predictive systems respond accordingly. Neural firing associated with uncertainty decreases. Activity shifts toward regulation rather than evaluation. Cognitive load continues to fall as repetition persists. This transition does not conclude anything. It establishes a sustained state of efficiency. Predictive systems remain capable of responding to change if it occurs. For now, they operate comfortably within a predictable environment. As novelty density continues to drop, familiarity becomes the dominant condition. The nervous system aligns with this reality, conserving resources while maintaining awareness. Internal effort decreases not because engagement ends, but because engagement becomes easier. Repetition, sameness, and stable layout support this quiet efficiency. Predictive systems settle into a rhythm that requires little adjustment. Cognitive load remains low, guided by the absence of surprise rather than by any directive. Nothing needs to be noticed for this shift to continue. Predictive processing adjusts automatically, shaped by the environment's consistency. Familiarity accumulates, efficiency increases, and cognitive effort eases further as the evening progresses, and the nervous system remains supported by repetition and stability. Decision-making draws from a finite pool of cognitive energy. Each choice, no matter how small, requires evaluation. Options are compared. Outcomes are anticipated. Relevance is weighed. This process engages executive systems that manage planning, prioritization, and control. While individual decisions may feel effortless, their cumulative effect places steady demand on mental resources. Scientific research shows that decision-making consumes cognitive resources. Executive networks become active when choices are presented, allocating energy toward selection and resolution. As decisions accumulate across the day, these networks experience gradual depletion, reducing the efficiency with which they operate. During periods of high demand, choice points appear frequently. Timing decisions, sequencing decisions, evaluative decisions, all draw from the same reserve. The nervous system manages this load by distributing effort, but the underlying cost remains. Mental energy is spent incrementally, often without conscious awareness. As novelty and sensory complexity decline, decision load often decreases as well. Fewer changes require fewer choices. When environments stabilize, many decisions resolve themselves automatically. The brain no longer needs to intervene actively, allowing executive systems to rest from continuous engagement. Reduced choices lower mental effort. When the number of available options shrinks, evaluation becomes simpler. Executive systems can rely on established patterns rather than generating new comparisons. This shift conserves energy, allowing cognitive resources to be redirected toward regulation rather than selection. Orderly surfaces reinforce this effect. When objects are limited and arranged consistently, fewer decisions are required to interpret the environment. The brain registers what is present quickly without needing to assess alternatives. Visual simplicity supports decisional ease by minimizing ambiguity. Scientific evidence also suggests that cognitive energy replenishes more effectively in predictable environments. When external demands are low and patterns remain consistent, executive systems recover efficiency. Neural activity associated with control and planning decreases, allowing resources to rebuild. This replenishment does not occur through effort. It unfolds automatically when demands fall away. The nervous system shifts from active decision-making to passive maintenance, conserving energy through reduced engagement. Accumulating choice points fade as the evening progresses. With fewer decisions required, executive resources are no longer taxed continuously. The brain maintains readiness without exertion, holding capacity in reserve rather than spending it. Importantly, this easing carries no evaluation. Reduced decision load is not experienced as relief or avoidance. It is simply a change in demand. The nervous system responds by adjusting energy allocation accordingly. Limited objects in the environment further support this shift. When fewer items are present, fewer distinctions must be made. The brain does not need to categorize, compare, or prioritize extensively. Awareness remains, but effort diminishes. As decision demand decreases, mental energy stabilizes. Executive systems no longer signal urgency. Cognitive activity associated with choice quiets, allowing attention and perception to operate without interference from constant evaluation. This process integrates smoothly with the earlier reduction in novelty. Familiarity reduces uncertainty. Reduced uncertainty reduces choice. Each step builds upon the last, gradually lowering cognitive load across multiple systems. Predictable environments provide a steady backdrop for this adjustment. When the environment behaves consistently, many decisions become unnecessary. The brain anticipates outcomes accurately and moves forward without active deliberation. Over time, this predictability supports the restoration of mental energy. Executive resources recover not by being refilled directly, but by being spared. With fewer demands placed upon them, they regain efficiency naturally. The nervous system does not track this recovery consciously. There is no signal marking its completion. Cognitive energy simply becomes more available as it is no longer spent continuously. Orderly surfaces and limited objects remain unchanged. Their stability reinforces the absence of choice. Nothing needs to be selected, adjusted, or resolved. The environment communicates simplicity through consistency. As decision-making quiets, mental effort decreases further. Thought processes slow not because they are suppressed, but because fewer evaluations are required. The brain maintains awareness without generating options. This quieting prepares internal systems for deeper regulation without concluding anything. Executive networks remain functional and responsive. They simply operate at a lower intensity, conserving energy while remaining ready if needed. The reduction of decision load shapes the character of the evening. Mental energy is preserved rather than depleted. Cognitive systems align with the simplicity of the environment, allowing effort to ease without instruction or intention. Nothing needs to change for this state to continue. As long as choices remain few and patterns remain stable, executive systems rest comfortably within reduced demand. Decision-making subsides, mental energy steadies, and cognitive effort remains low as the nervous system continues its gradual settling through predictability and quiet. Memory systems respond to stimulation by increasing their activity. When the environment delivers a dense stream of information, the brain encodes more. Visual detail, sound variation, timing changes, and contextual cues are registered together, creating rich memory traces. This process unfolds automatically, without selection or intention. The nervous system records what is present as stimulation arrives. Scientific research shows that high stimulation increases memory encoding density. During periods when sensory and cognitive input are elevated, neural systems responsible for memory become more active. More elements are captured within shorter spans of time, resulting in tightly packed representations of experience. These representations are not stored in their final form immediately. The brain compresses memories after events, reorganizing what has been encoded into more efficient structures. This compression reduces redundancy, preserves relevance, and integrates new information with existing knowledge. Encoding is rapid, consolidation is slower. During high stimulation periods, encoding often outpaces consolidation. Information is registered quickly, but it is not immediately stabilized. Memory systems remain active, holding dense material that has not yet been fully processed. This creates a natural delay between experience and integration. Still frames illustrate this stage well. Moments are captured as snapshots rather than narratives. Details remain present but unorganized, awaiting refinement. The nervous system preserves information without assigning sequence or meaning beyond basic registration. As stimulation decreases, the conditions for consolidation improve. Periods of quiet support consolidation by reducing interference. When fewer new inputs arrive, memory systems can shift resources away from encoding and toward reorganization. Neural activity associated with integration increases as external demand falls. Soft focus mirrors this transition. Sharp detail becomes less necessary. Memory systems no longer need to capture new information at high resolution. Instead, they begin to compress and link what has already been recorded, smoothing edges and strengthening coherence. Unmoving light reinforces this process. When illumination remains stable, fewer changes need to be tracked. The absence of visual fluctuation reduces competition for neural resources, allowing memory-related activity to proceed with fewer interruptions. Scientific evidence suggests that consolidation benefits from these low-interference conditions. Reduced stimulation allows neural replay to occur more efficiently, strengthening memory traces without additional input. This replay does not require awareness. It operates beneath conscious experience, refining what has already been encoded. Importantly, this transition does not involve revisiting specific events. There is no recall, evaluation, or narrative construction. Memory systems work with patterns rather than stories, integrating information based on structure and association rather than on meaning. High encoding density does not imply overload. The brain is designed to handle variation in input volume. What matters is timing. Encoding during stimulation, followed by consolidation during quiet, forms a complete cycle. Each phase supports the other. As cognitive load decreases, memory systems adjust their emphasis. Encoding slows. Consolidation increases. This shift reflects efficiency rather than withdrawal. The nervous system reallocates resources to match environmental conditions. Stillness supports this reallocation. When movement is minimal and sensory fields remain unchanged, fewer signals compete for attention. Memory systems encounter less disruption, allowing consolidation processes to deepen. The compression of memories reduces cognitive burden. Dense information is transformed into manageable representations, freeing capacity for other regulatory functions. This transformation happens gradually, without any clear boundary marking its completion. Periods of quiet do not create memories on their own. They allow existing ones to settle. The absence of new stimulation gives memory systems the space to reorganize what has already been captured, aligning new material with established frameworks. This process unfolds even when it is not perceived. There is no sensation associated with consolidation. It does not announce itself. It simply occurs as conditions allow. As the evening progresses and stimulation remains low, consolidation continues. Memory systems remain active, but their work becomes quieter, more internal. Encoding gives way to integration. Activity shifts from capture to refinement. Unmoving light and soft focus remain unchanged. These elements signal stability, reinforcing the low interference environment that consolidation favors. The nervous system maintains this state without effort. Nothing concludes here. Memory processing continues in the background, integrating dense periods of experience with existing structures. Encoding has already occurred. Consolidation proceeds at its own pace. The balance between stimulation and quiet shapes this rhythm. High input leads to dense encoding. Reduced input allows compression and integration. Together, they form a continuous cycle that supports memory without requiring awareness or intention. As this cycle continues, internal processing becomes more prominent. Memory systems work quietly, shaping what has been registered while the environment remains still. The nervous system supports this transition naturally, allowing encoding to give way to consolidation as stimulation remains low and internal activity deepens. Time is not experienced at a constant rate. The passage of time depends less on clocks than on change. Moments are segmented by events, by shifts in sensation, and by variation in the environment. When these markers occur frequently, time feels structured and compact. When they occur less often, subjective duration expands. Scientific research shows that time perception slows when event density decreases. When fewer distinct events are registered within a given interval, the brain interprets that interval as longer. This effect arises from how experiences are encoded, rather than from conscious estimation. Time stretches when less happens. At night, external event density naturally declines. Movement decreases, sounds soften. Visual changes become rare. The environment presents fewer cues to mark progression, allowing subjective time to unfold with less segmentation. Minutes feel less divided, flowing together rather than being punctuated. Fewer stimuli stretch subjective duration. When sensory input is reduced, the brain receives fewer updates. Each moment blends into the next, extending the perceived length of the interval. This expansion is not dramatic. It is subtle, emerging from the absence of interruption rather than from any alteration in awareness. Nighttime also reduces temporal markers. Daylight provides clear signals of progression, shifting shadows, changing brightness, visible activity. At night, these markers fade. Darkness remains steady. Light sources hold their position. Without frequent visual cues, the nervous system tracks time less precisely. Slow shadows reinforce this effect. When shadows move minimally or not at all, the brain has fewer reference points to register change. The absence of motion removes one of the primary signals used to measure duration. Time becomes less granular. Steady darkness contributes similarly. Uniform low light reduces contrast changes, limiting the number of perceptual updates required. With fewer changes to process, the internal sense of time relies more on internal rhythms than on external cues. Research suggests that subjective time perception is shaped by memory encoding. When many events are encoded, time appears shorter in retrospect because it is divided into numerous segments. When fewer events are encoded, time appears longer because it contains fewer divisions. Nighttime conditions favor the latter. This effect unfolds without interpretation. There is no awareness that time is stretching. The experience simply changes in texture. Moments feel more open. Intervals feel less constrained. The nervous system responds to reduced input by loosening its temporal structure. Importantly, this expansion does not imply slowness in thought or activity. Cognitive processes continue at their own pace. What changes is the framework within which they occur. Without frequent markers, the passage of time feels broader. The reduction in temporal markers also reduces urgency. When fewer events signal progression, there is less pressure to anticipate what comes next. Time does not push forward. It rests in place, unfolding gradually. This gentle elongation supports internal processing. Memory consolidation, attentional recovery, and regulatory activity benefit from extended intervals that are not subdivided by frequent change. Subjective time expansion creates space without requiring stillness. The environment communicates this state through consistency. Darkness remains even. Shadows move slowly, Nothing accelerates the sense of passing moments. The nervous system aligns with these conditions, adjusting its temporal expectations accordingly. Over repeated nights, this pattern becomes familiar. The brain learns that nighttime offers fewer markers. Subjective time stretches reliably. Each evening reinforces the same rhythm, reducing the need for precise temporal tracking. This shift carries no existential meaning. It is a perceptual adjustment rooted in sensory input. Time feels different because the environment behaves differently, not because of interpretation or reflection. As subjective time expands, experience becomes less segmented. Moments flow together. The boundaries between intervals soften. This continuity reflects reduced stimulation rather than altered awareness. Nothing concludes here. The expansion persists as long as conditions remain unchanged. When stimuli return, temporal markers reappear and time contracts again. The system remains flexible, adapting to input density rather than enforcing a fixed pace. For now, steady darkness and slow shadows continue to shape perception. External events remain sparse. Subjective duration stretches gently, creating longer feeling intervals without effort or attention. The nervous system accommodates this change automatically. Time unfolds with fewer divisions, supported by the quiet structure of night. Experience elongates, not because it is held, but because it is uninterrupted. This gentle stretching remains open-ended. It neither resolves nor demands response. Subjective time expands naturally under low event density, aligning perception with the calm, unmarked flow of the night. As external cues remain sparse and internal rhythms carry experience forward. As external signals diminish, attention begins to redistribute. Throughout the day, sensory systems prioritize outward monitoring. Visual changes, sounds, and movement compete for processing, shaping where attention is directed. When these signals lessen, the balance shifts. Attention no longer needs to track frequent external change, allowing internal signals to carry more weight. Scientific research shows that reduced external signals increase internal awareness. This does not involve deliberate redirection. It emerges automatically as sensory input declines. When fewer cues arrive from the environment, internal processes become more prominent, simply because there is less competition. At night, the brain reallocates attention inward. External monitoring systems reduce their activity as input becomes sparse. Regulatory networks, which operate continuously but often remain in the background, gain relative influence. This shift reflects efficiency rather than withdrawal. Lower sensory input supports internal regulation. When sensory systems are less engaged, neural resources become available for maintenance processes. These include autonomic regulation, memory integration, and baseline monitoring of internal states. None of this requires conscious focus. Dark windows reflect this change. With little visible movement outside, the visual system receives minimal information. The absence of variation reduces the need for scanning or prediction. Attention no longer stretches outward in anticipation of change. Steady interior light reinforces stability. When illumination remains constant, fewer updates are required. Visual input becomes predictable, lowering processing demand. The nervous system responds by sustaining a quieter attentional stance. Internal signal weighting increases under these conditions. Signals related to bodily state, rhythmic activity, and regulatory balance are always present, but they are often overshadowed by external input. As external cues recede, these internal signals become more detectable within the overall processing landscape. This does not imply heightened self-observation. Internal awareness here refers to neural prioritization, not to conscious reflection. Regulatory systems adjust without requiring awareness, recalibrating balance based on available input. Neuroscientific evidence indicates that attention allocation is flexible and context-dependent. When environments demand monitoring, attention flows outward. When environments stabilize, attention reallocates inward. This redistribution follows sensory conditions rather than intention. Quiet internal monitoring becomes more pronounced. Systems that track physiological state, energy balance, and neural coherence operate continuously. Reduced external demand allows these systems to function with fewer interruptions, maintaining stability across longer intervals. The absence of frequent sensory cues also reduces prediction error. External signals often require constant updating and anticipation. When signals are sparse and predictable, fewer predictions are needed. Internal regulation proceeds with less corrective effort. This inward shift supports coherence. With fewer competing demands, regulatory systems synchronize more easily. Heart rate variability, autonomic balance, and neural rhythm coordination benefit from sustained low-input conditions. The environment communicates this state through consistency. Darkness outside remains unchanged. Light inside holds steady. Objects do not move. The nervous system interprets this stability as permission to reduce outward vigilance. Attention narrows not by focusing, but by releasing unnecessary monitoring. External scanning diminishes. Internal balance takes precedence. This is not a transition toward thought or analysis. It is a transition toward regulation. Importantly, this process does not conclude abruptly. The inward shift unfolds gradually as external signals remain low. There is no threshold marking its completion. It continues as long as conditions support it. Reduced external signaling also lowers alerting responses. Sudden changes are less likely when the environment is stable. Anticipatory systems reduce their activity accordingly. The nervous system conserves energy by maintaining readiness without heightened alertness. Internal systems benefit from this conservation. With fewer interruptions, regulatory adjustments proceed smoothly. Neural noise decreases. Signal integration becomes more efficient. Steady interior light and dark windows remain unchanged. These elements provide a consistent backdrop that reinforces low-demand conditions. Attention remains inward-weighted, sustained by the absence of novelty. This inward orientation does not isolate experience. It stabilizes it. External input remains available, but no longer dominates. Internal regulation gains relative prominence, supporting ongoing balance. As time continues, the nervous system maintains this allocation. External monitoring stays minimal. Internal processes remain active, coordinating quietly beneath awareness. Nothing resolves here. The shift inward establishes conditions rather than outcomes. It prepares the system for continued regulation without directing it toward any specific state. The environment holds steady. External signals remain sparse. Attention remains gently redistributed, favoring internal regulation over outward scanning. This balance persists naturally. Reduced external signaling supports internal coherence, allowing regulatory systems to operate with minimal disruption as the night remains quiet and the nervous system continues its gradual, unforced settling. Social processing is one of the brain's most continuous tasks. Throughout waking life, the nervous system monitors faces, voices, posture, timing, and tone. These signals are interpreted rapidly and often automatically. Even minimal social cues require prediction, evaluation, and response readiness. The brain treats social information as high priority because it carries implications for safety, cooperation, and belonging. Scientific research shows that social signal processing consumes cognitive resources. Interpreting expressions, vocal shifts, and implied meaning activates multiple neural systems at once, including attentional, emotional, and predictive networks. This activity is efficient, but it is not effortless. It contributes to overall cognitive load. When the frequency of social signals decreases, interpretive demand falls with it. Fewer cues arrive that require decoding. The brain no longer needs to continuously evaluate intention or anticipate response. Cognitive effort associated with social monitoring begins to soften. Reduced social input lowers interpretive load. With fewer signals to process, neural systems responsible for social cognition decrease their baseline activity. This does not require disengagement. It occurs naturally as input diminishes. The nervous system adapts to what is present. Quiet environments support this shift. When external social cues are sparse or absent, the brain downshifts social vigilance. Systems that normally scan for subtle changes reduce their sensitivity, conserving energy. This adjustment reflects efficiency rather than avoidance. Social vigilance is resource-intensive because it relies on prediction. Facial expressions and vocal tones change quickly and often unpredictably. Monitoring them requires constant updating. When these inputs are no longer arriving, predictive systems encounter fewer demands. Lower frequency of social signals allows this predictive activity to slow. Without new cues to anticipate, fewer internal models need to be maintained. The brain reduces its monitoring posture, reallocating resources toward baseline regulation. Cognitive quieting emerges from this reduction. Mental activity does not stop. It becomes less interpretive. Fewer meanings are generated. Fewer assumptions are tested. Thought remains present, but carries less social context. Importantly, this process is not reflective. There is no evaluation of interaction or withdrawal from connection. The change occurs at the level of signal processing rather than conscious appraisal. Social cognition quiets because there is less to process, not because of intention. Neuroscientific studies indicate that social monitoring networks modulate their activity based on environmental demand. When cues are abundant, these networks remain highly engaged. When cues are limited, engagement decreases proportionally. This flexibility supports cognitive balance. Reduced facial and vocal processing demands contribute to overall quiet. The brain spends less time decoding micro-expressions or inferring meaning from tone. Auditory and visual systems continue to function, but their output carries less social significance. This reduction also lowers background prediction error. Social cues often carry ambiguity, requiring ongoing interpretation. When cues are absent, uncertainty decreases. Fewer interpretations are required, and fewer revisions follow. The absence of frequent social signals does not eliminate social capacity. It temporarily reduces its activation. Social cognitive systems remain available, but they no longer dominate processing. This allows other regulatory systems to operate with fewer interruptions. Cognitive quiet emerges gradually. There is no moment when social processing switches off. Instead, interpretive effort tapers as input remains low. The nervous system settles into a lower demand mode appropriate to the environment. This quiet supports internal coherence. With fewer interpretive tasks competing for attention, regulatory processes proceed more smoothly. Neural activity becomes less fragmented. Signal integration improves across systems. Lower social vigilance also reduces alerting responses. Social cues often signal change or demand readiness. When such cues are absent, alerting networks reduce their activity. The nervous system maintains readiness without heightened monitoring. This state is neither isolating nor activating. It is neutral. Social processing simply occupies less space within overall cognition. Other processes continue uninterrupted, supported by the reduction in external demand. Cognitive resources conserved here are not redirected toward analysis. They remain available for maintenance functions, including autonomic regulation and internal coordination. The brain uses the absence of demand as an opportunity for efficiency. The quieting of social interpretation does not conclude. It persists as long as the environment remains low in social cues. When signals return, social cognitive systems re-engage automatically, without delay or loss of capacity. For now, reduced social signaling allows interpretive systems to rest. Cognitive activity becomes less layered. Fewer meanings are constructed. Fewer predictions are required. This reduction extends the inward orientation established earlier. Attention remains less outwardly focused. Internal regulation continues to guide processing priorities, supported by the absence of social demand. Nothing resolves in this state. It is a continuation rather than a transition. Social cognitive effort remains low, allowing cognitive quiet to deepen naturally. As external cues remain sparse, interpretive systems stay subdued. Cognitive activity remains steady but simplified, shaped by reduced demand rather than by deliberate disengagement. The nervous system maintains this balance quietly. Social processing rests in the background, ready but unoccupied, while cognitive quiet persists under conditions of low social signaling and stable environmental input. Emotional systems respond continuously to change. Throughout the day, emotional reactivity is shaped by appraisal. External events are evaluated for relevance, uncertainty, and potential consequence. Each evaluation carries physiological cost. Arousal rises and falls in response to signals that require interpretation, adjustment, or readiness. This process operates automatically, without conscious effort. Scientific research shows that emotional arousal is closely linked to external appraisal demands. When environments present frequent changes, ambiguous cues, or social information, emotional systems remain active. They prepare the body to respond by increasing alertness and mobilizing regulatory resources. As external stimulation declines, appraisal demand decreases. Fewer signals arrive that require evaluation. The nervous system encounters less novelty, fewer ambiguities, and fewer triggers for rapid assessment. Emotional reactivity begins to soften, not through suppression, but through reduced necessity. Lower stimulation reduces emotional volatility. When inputs are stable and predictable, emotional responses become less variable. Peaks and fluctuations diminish because fewer events require escalation. Emotional systems adjust their baseline to match environmental demand. This adjustment unfolds gradually. Emotional intensity does not drop suddenly. Instead, variability narrows. Responses become smaller, steadier, and less frequent. The system conserves energy by maintaining a stable baseline rather than preparing for frequent change. Flattening emotional intensity does not indicate absence. Emotions remain present as signals, but they carry less amplitude. They no longer need to surge in response to external demand. The nervous system recognizes that sustained vigilance is unnecessary under stable conditions. Regulation systems engage more fully when input is reduced. Neural circuits responsible for modulation and balance operate more effectively when not interrupted by frequent appraisal. With fewer demands, these systems maintain equilibrium with less effort. Neuroscientific studies suggest that emotional regulation depends on available resources. When cognitive and sensory load is high, regulation competes with other processes. When load decreases, regulatory systems gain relative priority, supporting stability. Steadier baseline signals emerge from this shift. Physiological markers associated with arousal fluctuate less. Neural activity associated with emotional monitoring becomes more consistent. The system maintains readiness without frequent activation. Reduced fluctuation supports coherence across systems. Emotional, attentional, and autonomic processes align more easily when not pulled in multiple directions. The nervous system favors integration over reactivity when conditions allow. This state does not involve evaluation of feelings. There is no labeling or interpretation. Emotional dampening here refers to signal strength, not meaning. The nervous system adjusts amplitude based on demand, not on narrative or assessment. External quiet contributes to this process. When sensory and social cues remain minimal, fewer triggers reach emotional systems. The absence of demand communicates safety through consistency rather than through interpretation. Predictability plays a key role. Stable environments reduce uncertainty, one of the primary drivers of emotional arousal. When outcomes are unlikely to change, the system lowers its alert posture. Importantly, this dampening does not suppress responsiveness. Emotional systems remain capable of activation if conditions change. The reduction reflects adaptive scaling, not disengagement. Readiness is preserved without unnecessary expenditure. Flattened emotional intensity allows regulatory feedback loops to operate smoothly. Signals are easier to modulate when they remain within narrow ranges. Regulation becomes maintenance rather than correction. As external input remains low, this state persists. Emotional systems settle into a rhythm characterized by stability rather than fluctuation. The nervous system maintains balance without active intervention. This stabilization supports other internal processes. Memory integration, autonomic coordination, and attentional coherence benefit from reduced emotional noise. Fewer spikes allow signals to remain synchronized. The environment reinforces this equilibrium through sameness. Reduced change communicates continuity. Emotional systems interpret this consistency as low demand, sustaining their subdued posture. No resolution occurs here. Emotional regulation continues quietly as long as conditions remain unchanged. There is no endpoint or transition marked by awareness. The system simply remains stable. If stimulation were to increase, emotional systems would scale up accordingly. Their current state reflects context, not capacity. Flexibility remains intact. For now, reduced appraisal demand allows emotional reactivity to ease. Baseline signals remain steady, fluctuations diminish. Regulation operates efficiently beneath awareness. This quiet stabilization extends the inward shift already underway. Emotional systems align with reduced external signaling, maintaining balance without effort or direction. The nervous system sustains this state naturally. Emotional dampening persists as part of overall regulation, shaped by low stimulation and steady input, allowing internal balance to continue without interruption or emphasis. As task demands recede, neural activity begins to reorganize. During periods of active engagement, the brain prioritizes networks that support goal-directed behavior. Attention is oriented outward. Processing is shaped by tasks, decisions, and responses. When these demands diminish, this orientation loosens. Activity shifts away from execution and toward internal coordination. Scientific research shows that the default mode network activates during rest. This network includes interconnected brain regions that become more active when external tasks are absent. Its activity increases when attention is not required for immediate action or problem solving. Reduced task demands increase internal processing. Without the need to monitor goals or respond to external cues, neural resources redistribute. The brain does not become inactive. Instead, it engages in slower, internally oriented activity that differs from task-focused processing. The default mode network supports associative processes. Rather than tracking external events, it integrates information across time, linking recent experience with existing neural patterns. This activity unfolds quietly, without urgency or direction. DMN activity rises during quiet wakefulness. When environments are stable and stimulation remains low, this network operates more prominently. It does not require instruction or intention. Its activation reflects the absence of competing demands, rather than the presence of a specific task. Reduced goal-directed activity allows this shift. When the brain no longer needs to evaluate outcomes or maintain performance, executive networks decrease their activity. The default mode network fills this space, sustaining internal continuity. Slow associative processing characterizes this state. Neural activity becomes less linear and less constrained by immediate goals. Connections form based on relevance rather than requirement. Information is revisited without being examined. This processing does not involve narrative construction. There is no deliberate reflection or analysis. The default mode network operates beneath awareness, organizing information without assigning meaning or sequence. Inward neural activity becomes more prominent as external demands fade. Attention is no longer pulled towards signals that require response. Instead, neural systems prioritize maintenance, integration, and baseline monitoring. Research indicates that this state supports neural efficiency. The default mode network helps maintain coherence across brain systems, aligning internal activity when external pressure is low. Its activation contributes to balance rather than to output. Reduced stimulation strengthens this effect. When sensory input remains consistent and minimal, fewer interruptions occur. The brain sustains internally oriented activity with fewer shifts in priority. The environment reinforces this condition through stability. Visual fields remain unchanged. Sounds are sparse or predictable. Without variation, task-oriented networks remain quiet, allowing default mode activity to persist. This inward drift does not signify disengagement. the brain remains alert and responsive. The shift reflects a change in emphasis rather than a loss of capacity. Task networks remain available if needed. Default mode activity supports continuity across time. It links recent neural patterns with established ones, maintaining internal consistency. This process does not require attention. It proceeds automatically. Importantly, the default mode network does not generate goals. It does not seek resolution or outcome. Its function is integrative rather than directive. Activity flows without pressure. As regulation stabilizes and emotional reactivity remains low, conditions favor this inward orientation. Fewer regulatory adjustments are required. Neural systems coordinate quietly. Reduced task demand also lowers prediction error. Without goals to monitor, fewer discrepancies need correction. The brain operates with less anticipatory tension, supporting sustained default mode engagement. This state unfolds gradually. There is no transition point that marks its onset. As external demands continue to diminish, default mode activity becomes proportionally more prominent. Neuroscientific studies suggest that prolonged default mode activation supports internal coherence. Neural rhythms align more easily when not disrupted by task switching. Activity becomes smoother and more continuous. The absence of narrative is key. Default mode processing does not tell stories. It does not replay events in sequence. It maintains internal associations without organizing them into conscious thought. As time passes, this inward drift continues. External monitoring remains minimal. Internal processing proceeds at a slow, even pace. Nothing concludes here. The default mode network remains active as long as conditions allow. Its activity does not aim toward completion. It sustains internal balance rather than moving toward resolution. If external tasks were to reappear, activity would shift accordingly. The brain remains flexible. Default mode dominance reflects context, not state. For now, reduced demand supports inward neural activity. Task networks remain quiet. Associative processing continues beneath awareness, maintaining coherence without direction. This inward orientation extends the settling already underway. Regulation remains stable. Emotional signals remain subdued. Neural systems operate with minimal interruption. The default mode network sustains this quiet state. Internal activity remains present but unstructured, shaped by the absence of demand rather than by the presence of intention. As the environment stays still, internally oriented processing persists. Neural activity flows gently inward, supporting continuity and balance without narrative, effort, or instruction. Spontaneous thought arises in response to demand. Throughout the day, the brain generates a steady stream of thoughts as it processes input, anticipates outcomes, and adjusts to change. Each shift in the environment invites prediction. Each signal prompts interpretation. Thought frequency reflects how much processing is required at any given moment. Scientific research shows that thought frequency correlates with stimulation level, when sensory, cognitive, and social inputs are dense. Spontaneous cognition increases. The brain produces more internal activity to keep pace with what is happening externally. Thought becomes frequent because demand is high. As stimulation decreases, this demand softens. Fewer inputs arrive that require interpretation. Predictive systems encounter fewer discrepancies to resolve. In response, spontaneous thought generation slows naturally, without intervention. Reduced input lowers spontaneous cognition. When the environment becomes stable and predictable, the brain does not need to generate as many internal models. Fewer updates are required. Thought arises less often because there is less to process. This slowing does not eliminate thinking. It changes its spacing. Longer gaps appear between thoughts. Internal activity becomes intermittent rather than continuous. The absence of constant demand allows moments of quiet to emerge naturally. Quiet states support mental slowing. Neuroscientific studies suggest that when external stimulation remains low, neural systems associated with spontaneous cognition reduce their firing frequency. Activity becomes more diffuse and less persistent, reflecting reduced urgency. Mental chatter diminishes under these conditions. Chatter often reflects rapid evaluation, comparison, or anticipation. When fewer cues invite these processes, the internal stream thins. Thoughts still occur, but they arrive less frequently and pass more easily. Slower internal pacing characterizes this state. Cognitive activity unfolds at a reduced tempo. There is no rush to resolve or respond. The nervous system adjusts its rhythm to match the environment. This process unfolds automatically. There is no effort involved in slowing thought. The brain responds to reduced demand by conserving resources. Spontaneous cognition quiets because it is no longer required at the same intensity. Importantly, reduced thought frequency does not imply emptiness. Internal processes continue beneath awareness. Regulation, integration, and monitoring proceed without needing to surface as thought. Neural efficiency improves as cognitive output decreases. With fewer thoughts competing for resources, neural noise diminishes. Systems coordinate more smoothly when not interrupted by constant spontaneous activity. Longer gaps between thoughts allow internal signals to settle. Without immediate cognitive commentary, neural activity becomes less fragmented. Patterns stabilize. Processing becomes more coherent. The environment reinforces this slowing through consistency. When sensory input remains unchanged, there are fewer triggers for new thought. The brain adapts by extending the intervals between spontaneous cognitive events. This slowing supports mental spaciousness. Experience feels less crowded because fewer thoughts occupy attention. Space emerges not because thoughts are suppressed, but because they arise less often. Research indicates that spontaneous cognition is sensitive to novelty. New or unpredictable stimuli increase internal generation. Stable conditions reduce it. Thought frequency adjusts dynamically to environmental demand. As default mode activity continues, thought generation becomes less insistent. Internal processing persists, but it no longer produces frequent verbal or conceptual output. Much of the activity remains non-verbal and associative. This state does not involve awareness of slowing. There is no moment when the change is noticed. Thought frequency decreases gradually as conditions remain unchanged. Reduced spontaneous cognition also lowers cognitive effort. With fewer thoughts to maintain or resolve, mental energy is conserved. The nervous system operates efficiently, maintaining readiness without excessive output. Nothing concludes in this state. Thought continues at a slower pace, shaped by reduced stimulation rather than by deliberate control. The system remains flexible, capable of increasing activity if demand returns. As time passes, this slowed rhythm persists. Longer intervals remain between thoughts. Internal pacing stays gentle and even. The absence of frequent thought does not remove awareness. It alters its texture. Experience becomes less populated by internal commentary, supported by the quiet conditions of the environment. Mental spaciousness expands as cognitive output remains low. Thoughts arise when needed and recede without accumulation. The nervous system sustains this balance naturally. As external input stays minimal, spontaneous thought generation remains reduced. Internal pacing stays slow. Mental activity continues quietly, shaped by low demand and steady conditions. This slowing carries forward without resolution. Thought frequency remains low as long as stimulation remains reduced, allowing cognitive output to soften, while internal regulation continues uninterrupted beneath awareness. Memory systems shift their priorities as stimulation recedes. Throughout periods of activity, neural resources are directed toward encoding. Incoming information is registered, categorized, and temporarily held. This process favors immediacy. Details are captured quickly so that experience can be navigated in real time. Integration is deferred. Scientific research shows that memory consolidation follows periods of reduced input. When external stimulation decreases, the balance between encoding and integration changes. Neural systems begin preparing to stabilize what has already been recorded rather than continuing to register new material. This preparation does not occur abruptly. It emerges as interference declines. Fewer incoming signals compete for processing. The nervous system recognizes that conditions are becoming more favorable for internal reorganization. Interference decreases during quiet wakefulness. Sensory systems generate fewer signals that interrupt ongoing neural patterns. Without frequent disruption, memory-related activity encounters less resistance. Information that was encoded earlier remains accessible for integration. Stabilized neural activity supports this shift. When neural firing patterns become more consistent, coordination across regions improves. Memory systems rely on this stability to align new information with existing structures. Variability decreases. Coherence increases. Preparatory quiet characterizes this stage. The nervous system is not yet consolidating fully, but it is creating the conditions necessary for consolidation to occur. Activity slows. Priorities reorganize. Encoding becomes secondary. Neural replay increases after stimulation ends. Research indicates that the brain revisits recent patterns of activity once external demand falls. These replays are not experienced consciously. They occur beneath awareness, repeating and refining neural sequences that were formed earlier. Replay supports integration by strengthening connections between related elements. Patterns that occurred together are reinforced. Redundant information is compressed. Memory traces become more efficient and more durable. Reduced interference allows this replay to proceed without interruption. When fewer new signals arrive, replay sequences can unfold more completely. The nervous system favors continuity over responsiveness during this period. This preparation does not involve recollection. There is no revisiting of events or experiences. Memory systems operate on patterns rather than narratives. The focus is structural rather than experiential. Quiet wakefulness provides an ideal context for this shift. The absence of novelty reduces the need for alertness. Attention remains inward-weighted, supporting internal coordination rather than external monitoring. Neural systems preparing for consolidation exhibit reduced reactivity. Signals associated with immediate response are downregulated. Systems associated with integration and maintenance become more active by comparison. This redistribution reflects efficiency. The brain uses moments of low demand to perform maintenance work that would be disrupted under higher stimulation. Preparation ensures that consolidation can proceed smoothly when conditions allow. Stabilized neural activity also reduces noise. When firing patterns are less erratic, signal clarity improves. Memory-related processes benefit from this clarity, allowing replay and integration to occur with fewer errors. Preparatory quiet does not imply inactivity. Neural systems remain active, but their activity becomes more rhythmic and coordinated. The pace slows. Priorities shift from capture to refinement. This stage exists between encoding and consolidation. It is neither fully active nor fully integrative. It represents readiness rather than execution. Memory systems align themselves with upcoming internal work. External input remains minimal. Sensory cues do not intrude. The nervous system maintains a low-demand posture that supports sustained internal processing. Research suggests that this preparatory phase is necessary for effective consolidation. Without reduced interference, replay sequences are fragmented. Stability allows memory systems to operate efficiently. The absence of stimulation also reduces competing cognitive demands. Thought frequency slows. Emotional reactivity remains low. Attention stays inward. These conditions collectively support memory preparation. No outcome is reached here. Preparation continues as long as conditions remain favorable. The system does not rush. Integration proceeds according to internal timing rather than external schedule. This stage does not announce itself. There is no signal marking its onset. It unfolds gradually as the environment remains quiet and predictable. As time passes, neural readiness deepens. Memory systems become increasingly aligned with consolidation processes. Replay activity becomes more consistent. Interference remains low. The nervous system sustains this state without effort. External monitoring stays minimal. Internal coordination remains the priority. Preparation continues quietly, laying the groundwork for deeper integration. Memory systems remain poised, supported by reduced input and stabilized activity. Nothing concludes in this phase. It exists as a continuation of inward settling, maintaining readiness for consolidation without directing it toward completion. As external stimulation stays low, memory systems remain prepared. Neural activity stays steady. Internal integration remains imminent, supported by quiet wakefulness and reduced interference, allowing the nervous system to maintain this poised, preparatory state without interruption. Physiological systems operate on rhythms: breathing, heart rate, digestion, and neural signaling. Each follow their own patterns. During periods of activity, these rhythms adjust independently in response to demand. Variation increases as systems respond to changing conditions. Coordination remains functional, but alignment is flexible rather than precise. Scientific research shows that reduced stimulation supports rhythm synchronization. When external demands decrease, fewer adjustments are required. Physiological systems no longer need to respond to rapid change. As demand falls, rhythms begin to align more closely with one another. This synchronization does not require direction. It emerges from stability. When sensory input is low and environmental conditions remain consistent, regulatory systems settle into predictable patterns. Variability decreases. Timing becomes more regular. Parasympathetic activity promotes coherence across systems. As this branch of the autonomic nervous system gains relative influence, bodily rhythms slow and stabilize. Heart rate variability increases, reflecting improved coordination between cardiac and respiratory systems. This change occurs automatically under low stimulation. Aligned breathing is one expression of this process. Breathing patterns become more regular when not influenced by urgency or exertion. Without frequent interruptions, respiratory rhythm steadies, providing a consistent temporal framework for other systems. Heart rate variability stabilization follows a similar pattern. Reduced external demand allows cardiac rhythms to fluctuate within a narrower, more coherent range. This variability indicates flexibility rather than rigidity, supporting efficient regulation. Slowed bodily rhythms reduces internal noise. When systems are no longer pulled in competing directions, signals synchronize more easily. Communication between systems becomes smoother, requiring fewer corrective adjustments. Physiological systems entrain during quiet. Entrainment refers to the process by which independent rhythms gradually align through repeated interaction. Under stable conditions, breathing, heart rate, and neural oscillations influence one another, settling into complementary timing. This process unfolds gradually. There is no moment when synchronization is complete. Alignment increases incrementally as conditions remain favorable. The nervous system prioritizes efficiency over speed, allowing coherence to develop naturally. Reduced stimulation lowers alerting signals. Stress-related responses diminish. Without frequent triggers, regulatory systems maintain balance with less effort. Rhythms no longer need to accelerate or fragment in response to external cues. This coherence supports energy conservation. When rhythms are synchronized, physiological processes require fewer resources to maintain stability. The body operates efficiently, sustaining readiness without unnecessary expenditure. Importantly, synchronization does not imply uniformity. Rhythms remain distinct, each serving its function. Alignment refers to timing relationships rather than identical patterns. Systems coordinate without losing specialization. Quiet environments facilitate this coordination by minimizing disruption. Stable sensory input allows internal timing mechanisms to dominate. The absence of novelty reduces the need for rapid adjustment, supporting sustained entrainment. Neuroscientific and physiological studies suggest that coherence across systems improves regulatory capacity. When rhythms align, feedback loops operate more smoothly. Signals are clearer, corrections are smaller and less frequent. Slowed bodily rhythms also support internal integration. Memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and autonomic balance benefit from stable timing relationships. Synchronization creates a foundation for ongoing maintenance processes. This state does not require awareness. Physiological alignment occurs beneath conscious experience. There is no sensation associated with synchronization. It manifests as steadiness rather than as perception. As time continues, coherence deepens. Rhythms remain aligned as long as stimulation remains low. External input does not intrude. Internal timing holds steady. The environment reinforces this state through consistency. Sound levels remain low. Visual input stays unchanged. Temperature and movement are stable. These factors collectively reduce variability, supporting sustained synchronization. No conclusion is reached here. Physiological coherence persists as a condition rather than an endpoint. Alignment continues quietly, maintained by the absence of demand. If stimulation were to increase, rhythms would adapt accordingly. Synchronization reflects context, not permanence. The system remains flexible, capable of responding when necessary. For now, reduced stimulation allows physiological rhythms to align. Breathing, heart rate, and neural activity maintain complementary timing. Variability remains low but responsive. This deep bodily settling supports overall regulation. Systems operate in concert, conserving energy while maintaining readiness. Synchronization continues beneath awareness, shaped by quiet conditions and steady input. As the night remains still, physiological rhythms stay aligned. Coherence persists naturally, sustained by parasympathetic influence and reduced stimulation, allowing the body to maintain this synchronized state without effort, instruction. Predictive processing is a constant background function. At every moment, the brain anticipates what will happen next. It forecasts sensory input, monitors for deviation, and updates internal models when outcomes differ from expectation. This process allows rapid response, but it carries energetic cost. Prediction requires effort, especially in environments that change frequently. Scientific research shows that prediction error drives cognitive effort. When the brain's expectations are violated, additional processing is required to resolve the discrepancy. Neural resources are allocated to updating models, increasing overall cognitive demand. High uncertainty produces frequent prediction errors and sustained effort. As environmental conditions stabilize, this demand decreases. Stable environments reduce predictive demand by providing consistent input. When sensory signals repeat and outcomes remain unchanged, fewer updates are required. Internal models remain accurate without constant revision. Nighttime naturally lowers uncertainty signals. External activity diminishes. Sensory variation decreases. The environment becomes more predictable, not because it is controlled, but because fewer events occur. This reduction in change directly affects predictive systems. Fewer prediction errors emerge under these conditions. When inputs match expectation, corrective processing becomes unnecessary. Predictive systems maintain their models with minimal adjustment, reducing neural workload. Lowered anticipatory activity follows. Anticipation is useful when change is likely. When the environment remains steady, anticipation relaxes. The brain no longer needs to prepare for rapid shifts, allowing predictive systems to operate at a reduced level. This reduction unfolds automatically. There is no awareness of prediction decreasing. The brain simply responds to consistency by conserving resources. Predictive effort scales down in proportion to environmental stability. Stable inputs reinforce this adjustment. When visual scenes remain unchanged, auditory signals stay constant, and temporal patterns repeat, prediction becomes easier. The brain relies on established models rather than generating new ones. Reduced predictive demand contributes to cognitive rest. Without frequent model updates, mental effort decreases. Neural activity becomes less reactive and more sustained, reflecting confidence in expectation rather than readiness for surprise. Neuroscientific studies suggest that prediction is closely tied to vigilance. When uncertainty is high, vigilance increases. When uncertainty drops, vigilance relaxes. Nighttime conditions favor the latter by limiting variation and novelty. Lower uncertainty also reduces internal tension. Prediction errors often trigger alerting responses. When errors are rare, these responses occur less frequently, The nervous system maintains readiness without sustained alertness. This state supports efficiency across systems. Attention, memory, and regulation benefit from reduced predictive load. With fewer discrepancies to resolve, neural resources can be allocated toward maintenance rather than correction. Importantly, predictive systems do not disengage. They remain active at a baseline level, monitoring for change. Reduced demand reflects calibration, not shutdown. Flexibility is preserved. Predictability also supports continuity. When outcomes remain consistent, internal processing proceeds smoothly. Neural activity becomes less fragmented, contributing to overall coherence. Environmental stability communicates safety through repetition. When signals behave as expected, the brain interprets this as low risk. Predictive effort diminishes accordingly. This adjustment does not involve future-oriented thought. Prediction here refers to automatic sensory forecasting rather than conscious planning. Reduced demand reflects fewer incoming surprises, not the absence of foresight. Nighttime conditions sustain this state. Darkness remains consistent. Sounds are sparse and repetitive. Temporal patterns slow. These factors collectively minimize uncertainty. Lower anticipatory activity reduces cognitive strain. The brain no longer needs to scan continuously for deviation. Processing becomes less effortful and more even. As predictive demand decreases, other systems remain steady. Emotional reactivity stays low. Thought frequency remains reduced. Physiological rhythms stay aligned. Predictive quiet integrates with these ongoing adjustments. This process does not conclude. Reduced predictive demand persists as long as environmental conditions remain stable. There is no endpoint, only maintenance. If conditions were to change, predictive systems would respond immediately. Their current quiet reflects context rather than limitation. For now, fewer prediction errors occur. Anticipatory activity remains low. Internal models hold without revision. The brain maintains confidence in what it expects. This confidence does not require attention. It exists beneath awareness, supporting a sense of ease without producing thought or interpretation. Reduced predictive demand contributes to the broader quiet already established. Cognitive effort continues to diminish as uncertainty stays low. The nervous system operates efficiently, responding only when necessary. As the night remains predictable, predictive systems stay calm. Effort remains minimal. Anticipation stays subdued. Internal processing continues without strain. This state prepares the ground for sustained quiet. Predictive processing remains light, responsive but unburdened, allowing cognitive rest to persist naturally as environmental stability holds and uncertainty remains low across extended intervals. Quiet does not arrive suddenly. It is maintained. When stimulation remains low over extended periods, multiple regulatory systems continue operating at reduced intensity. This state is not passive. It reflects active maintenance of balance rather than disengagement. The nervous system holds itself steady, sustaining conditions that require little adjustment. Scientific research shows that sustained low stimulation supports rest readiness. When environments remain predictable and input remains minimal, regulatory systems do not need to prepare for rapid change. Readiness here refers to capacity rather than action. The system remains able to respond while conserving energy. Regulatory systems stabilize under prolonged quiet. Neural, autonomic, and metabolic processes settle into coordinated patterns that change slowly over time. Variability decreases without becoming rigid. Stability emerges through repetition and consistency, rather than through control. Biological systems conserve energy in low-demand states. When fewer resources are required for monitoring, prediction, or response, energy expenditure decreases. This conservation supports maintenance processes that operate continuously but efficiently. Sustained stillness reinforces this condition. When visual scenes remain unchanged and auditory input stays minimal, fewer adjustments are required. Regulatory systems interpret the absence of variation as a signal to maintain, rather than to prepare. Minimal fluctuation becomes the defining characteristic. Heart rate, neural activity, and autonomic signaling continue, but within narrow ranges. Corrections become rare. Feedback loops operate smoothly, maintaining balance with little effort. Ongoing quiet supports coherence across systems. When input remains stable, coordination improves. Signals align more easily. Timing relationships remain consistent. The nervous system favors synchronization over responsiveness. This state does not mark an endpoint. It represents readiness without direction. Systems are neither accelerating nor decelerating further. They remain poised, maintaining low activity while preserving flexibility. Neuroscientific evidence suggests that prolonged quiet allows regulatory thresholds to stabilize. When external demand remains low, baseline activity levels adjust downward. Systems operate closer to their maintenance set points rather than their response set points. This adjustment unfolds gradually. There is no moment when quiet becomes complete. It deepens through continuity rather than through transition. Each uninterrupted interval reinforces the same low-demand posture. Importantly, readiness does not imply expectation. There is no anticipation of what comes next. The nervous system maintains capacity without projecting forward. Stability itself becomes the prevailing condition. Sustained quiet reduces internal noise. With fewer fluctuations, signals remain clearer. Regulatory systems communicate with less interference. The overall internal environment becomes easier to maintain. Energy conservation here is not withdrawal. It is efficiency. Biological systems remain active, but they avoid unnecessary expenditure. This efficiency supports longevity of the state rather than intensity of response. Minimal fluctuation also reduces corrective activity. When systems remain within stable ranges, fewer adjustments are required. Maintenance replaces correction. Regulation becomes ongoing rather than reactive. The absence of change communicates safety through consistency. Without new demands, the nervous system remains confident in its current configuration. Predictive systems stay quiet. Attention remains inward-weighted. This state integrates all preceding adjustments. Reduced sensory input, lowered cognitive demand, stabilized emotion, synchronized physiology, and diminished prediction all contribute. Quiet becomes systemic rather than localized. Nothing resolves here. There is no signal indicating completion. Quiet persists as a condition sustained by lack of disturbance rather than by intention. Biological systems remain sensitive. If conditions were to change, responsiveness would return immediately. The current state reflects calibration, not shutdown. Sustained stillness allows internal rhythms to continue unchallenged. Timing remains consistent. Signals reinforce one another rather than competing. Coherence holds. The environment remains unchanged. Sound does not intrude. Light does not shift. Temperature remains stable. These factors collectively support ongoing quiet. Regulatory systems continue their work beneath awareness. Balance is maintained without attention. Readiness remains present without activation. This final state does not conclude the process. It preserves it. Quiet remains available, held by stability rather than by instruction. As time passes, low activity continues. Systems stay aligned. Energy is conserved. Responsiveness is retained. The nervous system sustains this posture naturally. Multiple regulatory systems remain coordinated, maintaining a low-activity, stable state over time, allowing quiet to persist without signaling an end, without demanding transition, and without closing the experience. As readiness remains intact and systemic balance continues quietly,